At Dave Cooper Live, we connect the industry leaders in the architectural, engineering, and construction space with the people, the products, and the processes to help them build it better. Welcome to Dave Cooper Live, where we showcase the people, the products, and the processes helping us all build it better. And today, I'm excited to introduce you to somebody ready to change the world, an entrepreneur making radical positive impact in international housing development, addressing an underserved market of 1.6 billion people, literally putting a new roof over their heads. How? Well, you're going to have to stick around to find out. First, a few words from our sponsors. Forward Solutions Group is successfully driving companies to succeed where others have failed. Are you looking to start a factory, optimize your existing factory, streamline your production, or take your team to the next level? Whatever your needs are, Forward has a solution for you. Reach out to Ben at forwardsolutionsgroup.com. Howick Ltd. has a long history of innovation in cold form steel manufacturing and producing innovative precision roll forming technology for customers throughout the United States and the world. Check out their machine buyer's guide for off-site modular construction or fast build construction with light steel for framing. Go to their website, howickltd.com. Brought to you by Greatech, one of the largest Autodesk partners globally and software developer of the PowerPack Advanced Design, Advanced Steel, and the StruxSoft product line. The complete solution to automate wood and light gauge steel framing, design, and documentation all the way out to CNC output, model, design, and manufacture with StruxSoft. Learn more at StruxSoftSolutions.com. All right, again, thank you to all of our sponsors, to include Cobalt Creed and Sean and Tagliata and the team over there. Make sure you check them out. They have small duct, high-velocity systems that are breaking the energy code barrier. If you're not familiar with them, you should be. They've been on this old house, I think, over 30 times. All right, with further ado, let's bring on Alexa. Alexa, how are you today?
Hi, I'm great. Thanks for having me, Dave.
Well, thanks for being on the show. I mean, I haven't had anybody trying to change the world at one go, but you're sure doing a heck of a job giving it a try. But before we get into what you're doing at Ocean, let's talk a little bit about who you are. In fact, we want to know everything about you from the moment you were born to this very moment in time. Do not leave out any of the good stuff from the hospital, or we will have your mother on this show, and I guarantee she will spill the beans. But you only have about a minute and a half to do it. Floor is yours.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave. So I'm in the Seattle area. This is where I'm born, but I'll skip to the good stuff. My career prior, I worked in global health. So I was there at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for 7 years. And I worked a lot across Asia and Africa. And really the problem that I saw was most of the people we were serving who lived on less than $5 a day didn't have something as simple as a good roofing material. It was typically tin sheets, or I was working for our office in India, and in those settlement areas was often asbestos cement sheets. So as you know, that asbestos causes cancer, but also these materials are so hot that they've become deadly in heat waves. So that was kind of my big idea. I have no technical background. I wasn't in the building sector before, but I saw an unmet market need and opportunity that no one was addressing. So that's kind of what compelled me to start what's become Ocean. And we're a global building materials company. Our first product we're launching next year, which is a bamboo composite material. And yeah, I would say that's at a very high level. I'll let you take over on what questions you have.
No, it's great. Hey, so listen, all right. So I always find that the greatest products and the greatest inspiration is from experience, right? They come out of experience. The greatest products come out of experience. So with that said, you were working for the Gates and Foundation. You were traveling the world. You were seeing what was going on in the housing crisis. A lot of the places you mentioned do have high heat waves, right? They're underdeveloped countries. And I guess it kind of pulled on your heartstrings a little bit as to why they don't have something better.
Yeah. And I think that, there's this conception, I think sometimes like in the US, we're so focused on developing and innovating for like this like top 1 or 5% of the world, but we've overlooked so much of the world's population, which are actually $1 trillion markets. They call it kind of like the base of the pyramid. Sure. And these markets, people typically aren't innovating for. They don't think it's profitable, or that people aren't willing to pay for these types of materials. And so I think in my experience of just working, in that sector, I had a different belief and conviction around, this is a market and right. A place that people needed to innovate for.
So tell me how this all came about, right? You're just sitting around drinking a cup of tea somewhere and you're like, I'm going to solve this issue. I have no idea how to do it. I'm not in a built environment. I don't have building practice. How does one sit there and start researching, how to make a better material for roofing or siding or all the above?
So I started by I literally went to like the library and I literally started finding some books. I dug up some books from like the 70s on like roofing materials, like in developing countries, and started looking at like, what types of materials could be used, how do they combine? And in that research, I came across a material that was previously developed in India about a decade ago, and it was made from bamboo. And it kind of I started with like a profile of what would a solution need to look like. What would it need to cost? What would be the considerations around manufacturing? What does it need to do from a technical performance? And this one material that I came across in India seemed like it had a lot of potential. And I was actually working in Delhi at the time. So I got to like go meet with the researchers in India who had developed it. I raised some money for a crowdfunding campaign and we piloted that material. But then we figured out what was needed from a technical standpoint to really commercialize it. There were things that had limited it. And so that's when I didn't have the technical expertise, but I partnered with Washington State University, an incredible team of material scientists and engineers who've done a ton in wood composites. And I worked with them and got grant funding through the National Science Foundation to develop that version of the product that you saw on our website, which we are getting ready to launch commercially next year.
So it's ready to launch commercially. And are you testing this out in places already?
So we've done preliminary testing at Washington State University. They have an accredited laboratory, so we'll be getting a lot of our ASTM certification and testing there. But so far, we're seeing positive results from the testing that we've done. We've previous experience from the beta version of the product. I mentioned we did not develop that one, but we tested that with users and collected some impact data and metrics. But everything's looking positive and we're seeing a lot of market demand, both in India and in the US and other countries too. So I didn't really mention that, but In the origin story, it was starting as developing a product for these communities, but we've seen enormous market pull for sustainable building products globally, low embodied carbon, renewable materials, and there's incredible mechanical and structural properties with what we've developed as well.
So we met at the Housing Innovation Showcase in Washington, D.C. on the mall. And I have to tell everybody, it is an up and coming event. Every year, there's more and more great technology, great startups. And I always say you find the best products in the 10 by 10 booths, not the 50 by 50 tried and true booths. All right, so now we have this product. I'm gonna put it up on the screen here. So, right, this is the product specifications. It is made of bamboo. It's patent pending, it says here. You're starting off your first product. Your first product is going to be a 4x8 panel. Walk me through the features and benefits of using bamboo and why you chose this material.
Yeah. So bamboo is incredible from a number of standpoints. One, it just has great material properties. It's very strong and stiff. People say it rivals steel in terms of its tensile strength. It's also more moisture resistant than wood as well, naturally, the way that it grows. But the real thing is its renewability. So compared to trees, which might take 5 to 7 years, some of the fast growing trees that then you have to cut down, it's actually a grass. So you plant it once, it takes about 5 years to mature, and then you can harvest it basically every year for over 50 years. And each year it will grow like 5 to 8 new culms, like 50 feet. Like they're massive. It just is so fast and renewable. And all that time it's taking carbon from the atmosphere, sequestering it, and then we're able to store it into a long life cycle building product. So it's just an amazing material to work with all around.
Walk me through the manufacturing process, the testing process, all this. How did you start this process? How did you find a manufacturer, or are you the manufacturer? And walk me through what the distribution looks like.
Yeah. So we actually have just had initial closing of our equity round, our seed equity round. So we're setting up our first manufacturing facility in India right now. And so we will actually be doing our manufacturing ourselves on our first facility. And the way the process works is we'll be sourcing directly from commercial bamboo farmers in India. One of the key criteria is, setting up our production where we have raw material availability. We don't have the types of commercial species available in the US yet to manufacture the product here. But we'll be manufacturing in India, sourcing from farmers. The bamboo comes in culms. And then we take that and we have a process where we convert it into strands, similar to like a wood type strand. So this is actually bamboo, but we convert it into strands. It gets blended with a mix of adhesive, wax. Then it gets formed into a mat, and then it gets pressed into a panel, and then further trimmed and coated. So here's just like another example you can kind of see of the product.
It looks like it's fairly lightweight as well.
It is. It's really lightweight. I don't know if I can do my jumping test in the background, but I usually always, too bad I didn't see you at Greenbuild, because I usually always will have people stand and walk on it for themselves just to feel how stiff and strong it is.
So talk to me about the market applications for this. I know roofing is one of them, but this could also be used for walls and other applications. Where are you looking as the biggest potential for growth on this?
Absolutely. So I will be somewhat constrained with our first facility and the capacity that we have. So in launching the product, we're starting with 2 applications. One is some product will be distributed through our housing partners in India. As I mentioned, a roofing material. We do like a white paint on that, so it helps reflect light and heat, and it can keep homes, we found, 7 to 12 degrees Fahrenheit cooler, which is life-saving for a lot of households in these heat waves. And then we'll also be distributing product through distributors. We have some distributors we're already speaking with in the US, but we can ship product to distributors internationally. And what we've seen is we've had a lot of demand from architects who even love the product for its aesthetics and its for commercial interiors. You could think of, cafes and things like that. So that will be like one of our applications, is doing an architectural spec finish. But there's other really big applications. You might have seen this at the HUD showcase, but where we are also working on creating sandwich panels that have great thermal properties, where basically we can take and bond two panels and create basically prefabricated wall structures. Addressing some of the limitation of SIPs.
All right, so you just took this conversation to a whole nother level, right? All right, so we're not just talking about a bamboo roof panel or wall panels, which now you're also saying, I agree with you, could be architecturally pleasing for interior design work, commercial or residential. But you're also working on the properties of doing a fully enclosed wall panel system with insulation. Now, with that system, walk me through the structure of the bamboo, because we all know the SIP panels or the sprayed foam insulation insert. But is it like a honeycomb approach with where's the structural integrity coming from?
Yeah, basically what's happening is, and again, we're still in development on this, so we just got additional funding. So this is the next application that we're working on. But basically, you imagine bonding a couple of these cores together. Then you can actually take a vertical gravity load in a way that SIP panels can't. You also have cavities where you could route your plumbing and your electrical, and then later fill with insulation. And then you can do flat outer plies and panels, but it gives you an opportunity to also improved fire compared to SIP panels, and it addresses a number of challenges.
So I got a ton of questions on this, not just for the wall, but the roof. But let's start off here. What steps are you taking, right? I already understand the durability side of this and how strong it is, but weather resistance, harsh climates, extreme weather, can it be used in all different climates? And talk to me about the moisture wicking abilities of this, especially if you're using in a wall panel system. I'm sure you've done a ton of testing on the thermal breaks and all of that. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on, let's talk about the moisture. How does it handle moisture? And then let's move on to how it handles moisture with that wall setup you have.
Yeah, so there's a few things like with moisture. So there's the bamboo itself, I mentioned, has the way that the capillaries grow in bamboo is slightly different than wood. So it has naturally a bit more moisture resistance. But we further enhance that with the adhesive, a combination of wax, and then coatings are really critical. So I would say probably one of the most similar products in the market is LP SmartSide, which uses a very similar composition with wood strands. And then they have an overlayment, basically a primed for paint. So if you're going to use it in an exterior application similar to wood, you're going to need to protect it with like a stain or a paint, and have certain care and maintenance for that application. And then I think in terms of some of the other moisture wicking, one of the applications we're getting testing and certification for is as a rain screen application. So as you kind of know,
brilliant, right behind everything. Sure, instead of using wood slats, you could actually use this instead.
Exactly. So that's another application that we're doing some of the testing and certification for. So we think that's another because you basically have the channels that you can allow for the drained back and ventilated, and you can let any moisture that gets through be able to evaporate.
Oh yeah, I could see it on sidewalls. I could see it on maybe even concrete. I don't know how it would work with up against a concrete wall or not, but what is the R value of the sidewall when you have the full insulated panel put together?
Yeah, I don't have that R value right now. Some of the work that they've done previously at the university with the wood strand panels, but what they did find in the sandwich panel application that they had done previously with wood was that they could use like about 70% fewer strands than a typical OSB panel, and they had over 100% higher R value than OSB. But we haven't done our testing yet on the sandwich panel application. Like I said, that's happening in R&D over this coming year.
Sure. Let's talk about the distribution of this. Going to market is no easy feat. It takes a whole lot of funding, right? Is this going to be a direct consumer, or are you looking to distribute this through lumber yards and Home Depots of the world? Yeah.
So it'll be a few years, I think, before we have the volumes to get to Home Depots. But really, we're building a distributor partnership model. So we've modeled it after a similar product that had a really successful international distribution program, where we can work with aligned distributors, and it gives them basically a business opportunity to distribute the product. And so we're talking to a handful of kind of sustainability focused distributors, but we'll have more information too over the coming year if people want to learn about distribution opportunities, becoming a distributor in their area or territory, and kind of what it takes to be in the program, what the margin opportunities look like at different volumes and scale.
Sure.
But yeah, that's basically how we plan. And we can ship in 20 and 40-foot shipping containers. The panels stack really well and easily for distribution and logistics.
Oh yeah, I guess they almost lay flat with each other, right? When you stack them
up.
Yeah,
so it's very efficient from that standpoint.
So when we look at the distribution and getting this to market, what region of the world do you see as your biggest market starting off? Or is it, is it several things, or is there one big market like the roofing market in underdeveloped countries, or even in this country, whatever the case may be? But how do you see the go-to-market coming outside of using some of the distribution channels you just mentioned?
Yeah, I'm looking at doing kind of like a 50-50 sort of market split. So distributing about 50% of product in like the communities where we manufacture. I think there's pros and cons to both. Some of the challenges in the US can be slower adoption, a lot of regulatory codes and things like that. And I think it gives us a unique competitive advantage that there's such a significant need. There's fewer regulatory codes and barriers, launching in markets like India. So,
sure.
So we'll be working through both, and we're looking at kind of a 50-50 split of, doing about 50%, like I said, where we're manufacturing in that country, and then exporting 50% to international distributors.
What's your biggest challenge? Or what were your biggest challenges? And now what is your biggest challenge?
Yeah. There's, I think in just entrepreneurship, been a lot of challenge. Fundraising was, I think, one of the biggest challenges, I think, to date, especially like in this industry. It's not software, it's not AI. We're doing things in the physical space, materials building. It's not typically where venture capital is focused right now, but I think it's one of the biggest opportunity areas of our lifetime. So I would say that was one of the biggest challenges to date. And then just like piecing it all together, and it's new and novel and never been done before. So there's not exactly a roadmap, but there's lots of successful examples to draw from. In the terms of challenges ahead and opportunities, building out the first facility. So that's our big task right now. So we're actually construction starting right now on the facility. We signed the lease this morning. We've got our purchase orders in for some of our major equipment. So we're planning for a commercial launch and about this time next year. But still plenty ahead, as doing things in the real world. There will be challenges along the way, but really excited and confident in our team and our ability to get it done.
Let's talk about the life cycle of this product, right? Obviously, it's sustainable, it's renewable, so to speak, energy. You can recycle this, I'm assuming. What kind of treatments are you putting on? Is it pest resistance? We talked about water resistance. What are the things that you're doing to ensure the quality? Fire resistance, any of that stuff?
Yeah, so it really depends on which application, because each thing kind of impacts cost, and so you want to be mindful of doing the right thing for the right application. But if it needs Class A fire rating, the bamboo itself has certain fire resistance, but then, you can use commercially available coatings if we need to get that sort of fire rating. There's processes that you can use to treat bamboo for pest, resistance, but there's, less sugar content.
Right.
But, so I would say it kind of depends.
I even like sugar. So you're telling me you're taking the sugar out of the wood?
Yeah. I think that's correct. Actually, don't quote me, but I guess this is live.
Yeah, sure. So I'm gonna get into two things here. Like one, what are some of the misconceptions or hesitations that you've been hearing about your product, right? Have there been any? And then let's follow that up with regulatory. There has to be some regulatory challenges. I mean, is there a proven model for code acceptance for this product? Like you said, I think India and others, the adoption is easier because there's less regulation. But as you're growing this into Europe and America and elsewhere, that has to be a concern, I would imagine.
Yeah, and it really depends on which application. So for the US market, we're not really looking at like US residential roofing. There's way too much, and that's also just not typically how we build a roof typically here. So we're looking at the right applications where there's fewer codes and regulatory, at least for launch. So that's kind of where I was talking about some of those commercial interior applications where there's really relatively fewer. When we get into some of these wall panels and systems, there's obviously more codes and regulatory. So that is going to take a little bit longer. We can start, in markets like India first, while we're working on getting it, the code certification for US and some of the other markets like Europe. We have looked to, I guess, our product composition. I think you asked a question related to this earlier, but it's over 90% bamboo. So we use a relatively small amount of other adhesives, additives, and coatings. But we're, doing a formaldehyde-free adhesive, things like that as well. Also to just make sure that the product, works for any market.
Sure. I mean, that's kind of the biggest thing. Can it work for any market? With the testing, I know we touched on it earlier. Cold weather, climate, does it really matter what market this is in, or is it particular climate zones that you're interested in to start?
I don't see any reason right now to think that it won't work in those climates. We're looking at kind of like I'm in the Pacific Northwest, so Seattle, Tacoma, Portland will be kind of a key market that will be focused on for launch, both for those interior commercial applications and then looking at the rain screen application. And we've seen, I think India and some of these other climates are some of the most difficult in terms of, the heat and humidity, monsoons. So yeah, they're definitely challenging climates to develop a product for.
Yeah, for sure. So if I'm a builder or developer and I want to look at the specifications of your product, you gave us a QR code. Tell us a little bit about what they're going to see if they scan this QR code.
Yeah, so this is a preliminary spec sheet, but if you enter in your email, you can sign up for our email list. You can get some of the preliminary technical data on the product. And then we'll be continuing to kind of update over the coming year, especially as we get closer to launch. We'll be doing our third-party certified ASTM certification in this upcoming year. So that would be the best way to stay in the loop, stay in touch. I told people this at Greenbuild last week, but I won't be spamming you too much. We're going to be busy at work getting the facility built, but you can expect a few email updates over the next year as we get closer to launch.
All right. So with this, let's tie this in a bow. If I want to get started and I want to work with you and I want to try your product or be part of what you're doing, how do I get involved? How do I use your product?
Yeah, I guess it really depends. I don't know. It would be dependent on each person and their background. If they are an architect, architects are just so critical to adoption of product. I really see them as designers and people at the forefront who can help bring innovation and show a product's application and utility. So we're definitely looking to connect with people in the architect community. Also people, kind of leading the way with a lot of like LEED and green and sustainability kind of consultants, architects, builders, they're going to be really critical, especially in these sorts of wall applications and looking at, how we address the affordable housing crisis in the US. How can we do more offsite manufactured components for housing? So I would say, best way would be to, stay in touch through our newsletter. We'll send out when we have opportunities for distribution, when we have, design contests for launch or, using the product in certain applications. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. All right. So the big, hairy, audacious question, right? They call it BHAG, right?
Yeah.
BHAG, big, hairy, audacious,
Mhm.
bold. But here's my question: cost. How is
Yeah.
this going to compare to the other traditional roofing, whether it's metal tin roof or asphalt shingles, EPDM? What's the
Mhm.
cost on this, and how are you going to keep that cost to where it's actually attainable, especially for underserved communities?
Yeah. So we did, I mean, that was the hardest challenge to address is what would be a material that doesn't necessarily need to be as cheap as certain materials, but it needs to be affordable and bring the right benefits. And so in India, our product, through local distributors will retail for about $2 a square foot. It'll be about $60 per panel. For some of our higher end, like architectural finishes, we'll be looking at about $8 a square foot. And yeah, that's kind of what we found is competitive in
Right.
the market. And it's not just
Sure.
the material cost too. It also, you have to look at labor. So, having a larger panel that you can install faster really also impacts the cost. So there's the installed
Right.
price and then there's also the material cost. So if we can be competitive in the less than, 25 a square foot installed cost range, we think that,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a huge opportunity in the market.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. What didn't I cover, Alexa? I feel like I'm leaving so much unpacked here, but I'm just is what do you really want people to know about what you're doing in your product out there, or even your team?
Yeah. I think I guess that there's so much opportunity for innovation, I think, in this sector. I think I didn't really come from like a background in this, but I think
Yeah,
in some ways maybe that allowed me to see an opportunity to leave a mark or approach a problem in a slightly different way or see things from another angle, which I think, can help with innovation. But I think partnering with the people that have the really practical and tangible, deep experience and knowledge of this industry is also critical. So, definitely looking to partner with those types of folks, find the right types of aligned, value aligned sort of, yeah, investors, partners. Yeah.
well, and I think that's what it is. It takes a collaborative approach, right? It's going to take everybody. You're going to learn things as this comes to market and people are using it, things you didn't think of, or you go, oh my
Mhm.
God, why is that happening, right? That's just part of any new product launch. But I think the first step is actually having the guts to do it, and you're doing that. And I love the idea. I mean, it's sustainable, it's healthier for the environment, it's healthier for the occupants. It's going to be a more affordable product for the occupants, not just here in the States, but around the world. And you're taking a global approach using a material that it grows really fast. And it's probably one of the most sustainable materials, in the world. And I will tell you, it's also one of the most annoying materials in the world because if you get it in your yard, it's impossible to get rid of, right? I've heard people plant bamboo and all of a sudden it's taken over half their yard or what have you. So Alexa, thank you so much for coming on and sharing everything. When you're actually about to go live and launch, we should have you back on the show and let's do a product launch on here and let people know where they can get this, where they can try it. And if people want to help you, what is the best way to get in touch with you?
Send me an email. My email is alexa@ocean.build.
I love the name Ocean.build. I don't know how you pulled that one off, but you got it. So good job. Alexa, thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate having you on the show and sharing what you're doing with the world. I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me and hope to be back again soon.
Oh, you're going to be back soon. We'll see you at the Housing Innovation Showcase. You were at Greenbuild. I'll see you
Yeah.
at NHB, the IBS International Builders Show. That's another place. You guys plan on being there, right?
Yes, it's on my list. And so yes, I will
Well,
be.
listen, attend even if you're not displaying there. But
I will.
people are definitely going to want to see this, touch this, feel this, like I
Yeah.
did at the Housing Innovation Showcase in Washington, D.C. So, Alexa, thank you so much. Don't go anywhere. I'll come back to you after the outro. But for the rest of you out there, we got several more days to keep building it better. It ain't the weekend yet. Get out there and do something big. Do something that is going to change the world. Do something like Alexa and Ocean is doing. There's a bigger purpose out there. Let's make homes affordable, sustainable, and healthy for all of us. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching.
What an amazing show. Thank you to all of our sponsors for helping us to continue to bring all of these innovative conversations to all of you out there. Please visit them, see what they have to offer you, and as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring that bell. It would mean the world to us. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching.